You can just follow it out as we go.
I have a question. The snowplow trucks, of course, we haven't been using them that much, and it's only been a couple for the 2 years now. Have you, have we looked at that? Maybe expanding those trucks that we use for plowing out maybe another year or so, or it's not worth even looking at? Because I understand soft takes are beating on the trucks and everything else, and I mean, with the weather the way it's been for the last 2 years, I don't know who could answer that.
Well, I'll defer a little bit to Mr. Gallus, but that question that you asked is the exact question that this is supposed to promote. If we need to replace it, and I know we've spoken briefly about the fleet in and of itself and the replacement cycle of it, so I will defer to Mr. Gallus on this, but that's the question that we're trying to, the conversation we're trying to get to.
But this has nothing to do with weather, of the beating of the trucks.
Correct,
So-
sure.
I think with any good fleet management program that you have to look at the age of a vehicle, you have to look at the mileage on the vehicle, you have to look at its maintenance records, you have to look at its cost per mile over the course of its life, and you have to look at its condition. And then there's a piece of that you have to look at the fleet manager, or in our case, Bobby Kazor, and get his opinion of the status of that vehicle. But if you put that all together and you stir it up, you make good decisions in terms of how you decide to replace our fleet. So in the long term, I think my commitment to the city of Wooddale would be to make sure that I'm looking at all those factors when we recommend a replacement.
Didn't answer my question, but that's okay.
Sure.
He did a good job.
To follow up on that, though, this was the most recent replacement schedule that the garage and public works had developed, and we've spoken briefly about that exact question, and looking at this and trying to evaluate that. So my comment to you to follow up to that is, this is what was, quote, on the books, but I think in speaking to Mr. Gallus, before any of these come forward after May 1st, we're going to go through and look and do some analysis on it to make sure that it is warranted, and not, like I said, not just lemming like where, oh, it's on the schedule, let's just replace it because it's there. So that is something that we're gonna be looking to move towards.
Mr. Mayor?
I think you just answered my question, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So just because it's on the list doesn't mean it gets replaced automatically, right? It's not.
You're correct, Mr. Mayor. I mean, I've done it myself. The administration car, the carpool car, we've done it in the building department where there's some cars that were scheduled to be done. And, we've talked it over with the garage and the user, and we've decided, hey, you know what, let's push this off another year, save some dollars if we can. So it's not locked in. It's just what we have in play, and then we reevaluate.
Okay.
Alderman Woods?
I'm going to go back to why this is in the capital improvement. Talking about I know you gave me that explanation, but I mean, capital improvements, I need to plan ahead. I need engineering. One thing's got to happen before the other. Talking about trucks that may or may not be replaced. I mean, you could replace one of those at the drop of a hat. It doesn't take any super advanced planning other than budgetary issues. I think this kind of clouds things, and then we're going to go into the budget and we're going to hash all these things over again. I just think, while some of them might be worth talking about, I think this is the wrong place for them to put them in the CAP. I understand some of the reasoning behind why you're bringing them up and why we're talking about them. But like I said, these items, the chief's desk and carpet and you know, whether we replace 2 trucks or 3 trucks, I think this is just the wrong place for it. I just wanted to throw that in as a comment. Thank you.
You want to comment?
Sure. And I know we've chatted a bit about the topic over the last couple months. By way of it being included in the navy blue binder, it's in the CIP, but it is in a different fund for budgeting purposes. And absent just coming out with a completely new booklet this year, we wanted to get it in just in circulation and get some feedback on it. So perhaps, you know, next year the police department equipment isn't something we talk about in this venue, but we do discuss the vehicles in this venue, or maybe it's a separate meeting or something like that. Just wanted to get some feedback on it. I do think it's important that the council sees, you know, all the fleet and the replacement schedule. So certainly if, you know, the consensus is that this isn't the right meeting to have it at, we can certainly address that. You know, if the consensus is that you don't want to see it, we can do that too. We wanted to at least get it in front of everybody and get some feedback and try and develop it a little bit as we go, so.
Okay. I have a question to the council. We got from 69 to 76. Has everyone gone through those? Does anyone just want to skip to some pages here and ask questions on that? And we'll finish this up. It's all on police, so any objections to that? So let's just, and we'll just get it done a lot faster. Is there any questions on any of the pages? Okay, Alderman Woods?
No question, just a statement. We're
Okay.
going to go through the budget, and each one of those items are going to come up again. That's why I
That's-
say it's kind of redundant that we're doing this.
That's my point, so.
Thank you.
So, we're done with this. Right, Brad? Go ahead.
Correct. And Alderman Eugene Wesley's alluded to this a couple times. The past 4 years, we've done a motion and then a resolution at the next council meeting, adopting the CIP as amended through the meetings. So I'd prefer to get that again so we can adopt that. I know there's some question to the vehicle and police department stuff. We can certainly exclude that from the final version of the CIP to not cloud the issue or make it any more confusing. So with that being said, if we could do a motion to approve the CIP as amended with the Woodland Court, the iPads, and a couple of other things we've talked about. And then, of course, we put this into the budget to be approved officially through the budget process.
So you want a motion like that?
That would be preferred.
Can't think of her name. Eileen, did you got everything that he mentioned there? Okay, I'll make that in a form of motion. Could we do a roll call? You wanna read? You wanna?
The motion.
Okay. Questions?
Could we clarify what the motion is?
Go ahead, Brett.
Probably just simplify it to approve the fiscal year 2014 five-year CIP as amended. And the amendments would include the Woodland Court, moving that out, moving the engineering up, kind of the recap we went through at the beginning, and then also removing the last 11 pages to avoid any confusion going forward, the vehicles and the police equipment.
So approving the CIP as amended minus the last 11 pages, to put it simply.
Correct.
Thank you.
But again, like you stated earlier, it's all coming back at budget anyway, so. Okay. Now any other questions? Alderman Eugene Wesley.
Are they making the changes on the sidewalk on Azif Road and the CIP? Are they making the other changes that we discussed before?
I mean, everything we discussed in that recap was kind of rolled into the as amended clause.
Or was that all in the motion?
Yes.
Yes. All the recaps, all the CIP.
No,
I don't think
sidewalks on
that's in
Foster
there.
is not in there.
No,
Oh, Foster,
I think so.
go ahead, Jeff.
That was a stated amendment that we're gonna look and see where we can plug that in. It may not be in 14, it could be 15, 16, but that's gonna be included in the booklet.
Okay, any other
So-
questions?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to approve a CIP budget tonight, or CIP project. And I read the wrong book. I'm going to make a motion on the floor today, vote for the CIP projects at this committee. Is council are you going to have it back here at council with all those changes be approved next meeting? Because you know what? Not that I don't trust my staff in making these changes, but I'd like to see it again before I approve the CIP totally.
Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, historically, the following council meeting, the last 3 or 4 years, the following council meeting has been just a resolution adopting the CIP. It's then put into the budget booklets, which you'll be getting February 15th. And then all of the revised numbers will be in that budget document, which the CIP in and of itself is the planning guide, but nothing officially gets approved and appropriated until the actual budget itself gets approved. So I'm not going to reprint this 80-page booklet for next week, but all the numbers will be changed and put into the full budget document that you're going to get in a couple of weeks.
I totally understand that, but the conversations that we had here tonight, with all the changes in that we have asked you guys to go back with the CIP, my concern is, yeah, you're going to put in a budget. And I'll tell you one thing. Are we having a separate piece of paper saying what changes were done? Because I'll tell you one thing. I'll sit up here tonight, and time it gets to the budget time, I'll probably forget half the stuff that we added to the CIP or whatever changes we talked about, because I will definitely forget. So is there a highlight sheet that you're going to put together?
How about if, Mr. Wilson, can't you make the CIP projects a different color, like green or?
Yeah, I mean, we can put together a sheet to go out with the budget, indicating what's changed from this navy blue document to the final version.
That's
of the
what I'm
budget.
saying, because I'll tell you one thing, half of us made some changes up here, and I'll tell you one thing, when it comes to the budget time, I may forget that, what we discussed here. I may. I mean, I'm not,
So we'll make the budget
So-
book very colorful.
well, I just want to make sure we get a separate piece of paper showing our discussion that we talked about, the iPad. All right,
Sure, we can include that, sure.
Just make all the CIP stuff one color. If it's green, it's green. If it's whatever color you want to pick, whatever we got in stock. Alderman Coes?
I got one thing to say. The CIP is a temporary thing anyway, until we get everything set up, and then everything has been voted for, are gonna, agreement to do it, and everything, and things do change. So, I mean, it's just to let us know what is coming up, and that's what it's for. I mean, the changes are gonna come, because you're gonna move streets from 2014 to 2015 or 16, or something like that along the way. I've never seen it yet go exactly on this. Because you're already starting to put in sidewalks that weren't even in this book. So, I mean, you're, all it is a temporary thing, and what we vote on it for was to say we've gone through it, and we've liked what's coming up, and that we should vote for it. And if you don't vote for it, then you say no. Simple as that. But it's still gonna go through anyway. So, that's what I gotta say.
Any other questions? Okay, we got a motion, we got a second. To accept the CIP of 2014 to 2018. With
Right,
the,
we changed stuff from 13 to 15 that was supposed to be done in 13. If you read the book, so.
okay,
Alderman Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Lazara,
Yes.
Alderman Winger,
Yes.
Alderman Eugene Wesley, Alderman Coles,
Yes,
Alderman Roy Wesley.
yes. Motion passes. Okay. Let's go to, are we going to talk about property casualty?
Hopefully very briefly. Just as a follow-up to our conversation in December, we did send the notice of potential withdrawal to IRMA. What that did, just we have to give IRMA a year's notice before we can leave, so we had to send that to them in December. That triggers, per their bylaws, a 45-day period by where we can rescind that intent to leave IRMA. And since the rescission would have to come from the council, just like the letter to withdraw did, we just wanted to gauge the council's, I guess, continued interest in leaving IRMA and going to a broker and going onto the open market on our own. You know, we did get some quotes that were lower than IRMA's, but those quotes are going to have to be refreshed in the fall with, you know, up-to-date claims experience. So while they were favorable now, you know, what's the stockbroker's term? You know, past results are not indicative of future results. So just wanted to be clear that if we leave IRMA, there's no specific guarantee that the rates are going to be better. Was the early view. So absent any further action from the council, in 2 weeks and 1 day, we'll be out of IRMA as of 1/1/2014. We'll still be covered by IRMA until December 31st of this year, but after that, then we'll be on our own in the marketplace as a standalone entity.
Is that a recommendation that you want to stay with IRMA then? Because I'm going to throw a lot at you right here then.
No, not. If you read the memo, though, the memo was to continue our current course of getting out of IRMA. It was just mentioning that while the early returns were favorable, that I just want to make sure that everybody's clear that that doesn't guarantee in September it's still going to be there. Just so that everybody's aware of that.
Let me tell you something. If you go on the open market, many years ago, municipalities and cities and forest preserves and county, IRMA was the only one there. Now there's many companies out there that does this now. So I rather like to go out into the, to go get a broker and see where we stand. We're paying IRMA $300,000-$400,000. I don't know what it is. What's that number?
440 this year.
$440,000. Have we ever gone out to a broker? Probably not, that I know of, since I've never heard of it going out to a broker or even checking their prices. And to your point of if we have an open claim or whatever, that's irrelevant, because you always have an open claim. Tomorrow you can have another one, so you're never gonna go out to the market if you're gonna look at it that way. Mr. Manager, hang on there. So, that's irrelevant, and I think we should. You can't no one can sit here and tell me that Irma won't take us back for $400,000. They're gonna say, oh yeah, come on back. I'd rather take that chance. Go ahead.
Well, that's why staff said it'd be a brief discussion. We just wanted to bring this to you tonight and make sure that everybody was clear as to what's going on now moving forward. That was all.
Okay, since I raised my blood pressure already. Who's? Alderman Eugene Wesley?
So, let me make sure I'm right here, of what I'm hearing here. So, we are going leave Irma and hire a firm or hire a broker to try to find the best deal, just like we did with the electric. My concern, I thought we had some prices already from some insurance, or we had some ballpark figures. I thought we had some.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
We got some initial cost quotes, but those aren't going to be accurate. I mean, those are estimates. We can't get an official cost until a couple months before with updated claims history. So tonight, we don't even need a motion. We're just coming to you and telling you that if we don't rescind our letter, then effectively we'd be out of Irma come January or December 31st of this year, and we'd be searching for a new vendor to get a lower rate potentially.
I guarantee with the staff that we have here, that we'll have more than enough time. Our quotes will probably come in August, maybe September, and then we will know. And if it's higher than what we're paying, then we could go back to Irma. If not, we'll go to another company.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to like this. Go
well,
ahead.
if we don't rescind the letter by February 15th, then we cannot go back to Irma unless they're very benevolent in their ways. They were out here yesterday and said it's a 3-year lockout before we can go back. And so now we may be able to convince them otherwise, but that's what their executive director told us
So
yesterday.
you're telling me they're just going to say, they're
That's-
not going to take our $400,000? I think they're insane.
That-
And they could, if they sue us, they have to represent me anyways for what I just said, so.
That's what they told us yesterday, so that's all I can go off of.
Yeah, okay. Alderman Eugene Wesley?
One other question. So as of that day, we will no longer have Irma if we don't resend this letter, correct? Right? That's what I'm hearing.
They will still be our provider until the end of this calendar year.
Okay.
For the renewal process, there will not be a renewal process with them, so.
So my concern is, I just don't want to, I want to make sure we are insured regardless if we change companies or not, because I don't want that we get rid of them and some massive thing happens to the city, or I have some employees get seriously injured or whatever Irma does for us, that they'll say, you're on your own, you got to go in your own budget and pay for everything. I just don't want to be, I'm not an insurance guy, but I
Well-
just don't want to jeopardize that.
There's no way the city's not going to have insurance. Mr. City Manager.
100% will be insured. It's just basically, it's just a roll of the dice what the cost will be. It could be cheaper, could be more, could be same, but if we don't do this, we would never know. So it's basically a little bit of a gamble, but we have to do it if we want to see.
I say rescind the letter. Or,
No, you would not
No,
do, if you
don't
want to
rescind.
go and get new prices, we just do nothing. We're just telling you
Okay,
tonight, if you
do
want to
nothing.
rescind, then we would need a motion. If not, we don't need anything.
okay, so we're going to go out and get some prices from a broker. Right? Right. That's what we're doing.
So effectively, then, the agenda item's done. We don't need a motion.
We're done. My iPad shut off. Okay, we'll go back to this. Items for future meeting. Mr. Manager, would you like to take the agreement and push it back further?
Yeah, I was telling Mr. Wilson that we'll push that back.
To April?
March or April, yeah, I mean, we'll play it by
Okay.
ear.
Remote attendance in February. Budget 2014, February 28th. Okay. Anything else? Okay, need a motion for adjournment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
What? No, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start.
No, Joe says he wants to go right in.
I'm gonna start. As you can see, I got a little cold, so I'm gonna be very tough on this. Unless somebody wants to take it over, I'll be glad to have somebody
you-
take it over tonight, because I know if I start reading it, I'm gonna start
I don't care,
coughing.
either one of us will take it.
Okay, Mayor, you would like to? Okay, the mayor's gonna take it over for me.
All right, I'd like to call the Public Health and Safety Committee to order. Let the minutes show that the same members are still present. Approval of minutes, December 13th, 2012. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item, report and recommendation, video gaming licensing and violations. Chief, you taking the lead?
Sure.
Go ahead.
All right, this is a follow-up to the video gaming ordinance that was passed last year. Kind of an evolving process throughout the state and throughout the municipalities. And one of those discussions back then was to formalize some rules into city code to help with some more, with local enforcement and having some teeth behind our local law. So what this first ordinance is an effort is to do some of that. Basically what we do is we take the best parts of the state administrative code relating to video gaming and we adapt it into city ordinance. That allows us, if we have a violation of that city ordinance, it gives us the option of either charging them under local ordinance, which we do with most liquor violations, or charging them with a violation of state law. It's another tool in our toolkit to be able to kind of handle this on a local manner. So that's similar to what we do with any liquor law violations. Is we generally charge for a first offense for an employee, we charge that under local ordinance, and then that goes to field court for that part of the case. The other part comes before the liquor commissioner. The other parts of this ordinance basically help through the clerk's office to verify who is allowed to have video gaming licenses. They have to come in, provide a copy of their state license and all their information, and then the city, they pay a $25 license fee per terminal, which is the most allowed by law for a non-home rule community. And then they are issued, it's basically a documentation that they are in compliance with the state law. They are issued a liquor license that is designated as VG for video gaming. It does not increase the number of of liquor licenses. They already have to have a current liquor license and the state video gaming license in order to get this license. So it allows us to know, we could have a business in town that says, yeah, we're allowed to have video gaming, but they have to come in and prove to us that they're allowed to do that. So this kind of just cleans some of that stuff up. It gives us some local teeth. We're not necessarily at the mercy of the state for them to take some action because if someone is found in violation, this allows us to handle it under the administrative hearings and take action And then for every day that they're not in compliance with our ordinance here, we could also issue another local violation for it. So if the state is slow to act, the city could still be, do regular enforcement, and then any of these violations would then fall under, once they're handled in court, come under the liquor commissioner for further action as a violation of the video gaming ordinance, and it could affect their liquor license. So that's what this first ordinance basically does to take care of that.
And as far as the fines, that's all regulated by the state, and that's the max that we could.
Yeah, the fines in here initially deal with the employee that commits the violation. So if an employee, let's say a clerk behind the bar, allows an underage person under 21 to gamble, that employee is going to be cited under local ordinance or state law. We do have that flexibility on every case, just like we do with liquor violations now. And then it would then fall under our liquor ordinance as a violation of city code, allowing the liquor commissioner to have some enforcement abilities. And then the next ordinance that we're going to talk about deals with the fine structure. This first one doesn't really deal with the fine structure except for the offense of allowing someone underage to gamble or being in violation of any of these different codes.
Alderman Woods?
So all these fines and violations go against the employee, not the establishment.
Chief?
That's correct. Whoever, similar to liquor license violations, if an employee allows an underage person to drink or an underage person to gamble, they are initially, they're the ones that are held responsible for that. The business or the liquor license holder or the business license holder then is subpoenaed for a hearing before the liquor commissioner as their business has been in violation of those codes. Now, if the owner of the business is there, he's going to be cited both under local ordinance, and then he's also going to have to appear as the corporation before the liquor commissioner for action to be taken.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Lazara?
The $25 fee, is that a year or is that just one time?
Chief?
That's a yearly fee that they would pay in conjunction with their liquor license. So when they do their liquor license application, if they have 4 terminals, they'd also have to pay $100 for the terminals. And, you know, I mean, that would generally go into the revenue side of the general fund, but hopefully that would offset in an indirect way our cost for doing compliance checks at those places and making sure that, you know, we do regular bar checks. We will continue to do regular bar checks and compliance checks where it might be an undercover type thing. That just kind of covers our administration and knowing who has the licenses and allows us to check those places.
Alderman Eugene Wesley?
So let's go back to that $25 machine. As you know, some of our establishments already have it in our city here. So are we going prorate this and go back after and ask for $25? I don't think that could be legally done. I don't know.
Chief?
When this goes into effect, then they would be responsible for the remainder of this year. So 3 months or 4 months to July 1st when the new license go into effect. So a third of that fee, so basically $8 for each machine they would have to pay that they currently have. And then the beginning of the year, that's all spelled out in the ordinance too, is let's say in September someone adds 5 terminals. They're going to have to pay for whatever months are left out of that year for the use of the terminal.
Okay.
Anything further?
And
I need a motion.
I have one other question.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Eugene Wesley, go ahead.
The other question, are these machines going to have to have a vending license on them too?
Chief?
Not
Like
that I'm aware
a
of.
pinball machine? Because normally they gotta have license on it, it's city licenses. I thought, maybe I'm wrong.
I can verify with the city attorney, but I don't. This would cover basically their fee for having that device in there and allowing us to check on it.
So this is a separate device versus vending machines. Because on vending machines right now, we charge businesses for a vending machine, like a pop machine or whatever. So is there additional charge besides this one, or, I don't know,
From my understanding, no. This would cover it would be like you have a vending machine license, you have a tobacco machine, whatever the case may be, this will cover the licensing for this.
We could clarify with the attorney, but I did have a conversation, and I believe that's what he said, that this is basically their, like, vending license fee. But as far as we're regulated by the state, being that we're not home rule, we're only allowed to do $25. We couldn't charge something extra the way Pat explained it to me. But
That's
again,
correct. I was told
we
this,
can
the
get clarification.
$25, this covers their fee. The vending fees are actually not, this is probably similar to what the vending machine fee is. I don't think they're that expensive.
Get some follow? Go ahead, Art. Alderman Woods, sorry.
Just a statement, because I talked to Pat about it. The big thing is this just everything falls under gaming, so they pretty much take control of it from start to finish. You know, their rules are their rules. Thanks.
Alderman Roy Wesley.
Since the vending machine, you could play 5 games on it, do we collect 5 different times for one machine?
No. Okay.
I'm, because you understand what I'm saying on that. It's a,
I mean, we'll have the attorney here next week, but the way I understood it in our conversation, $25, that is it. I asked him,
okay.
but he'll be. Any other questions before I? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What? One no? One no. Alderman Wesley. Eugene Wesley. All right, next, item number 5, restructuring of the liquor license. Go ahead, Chief.
This is the second half of a discussion that was had to solidify the fines. The current ordinance is 27 years old, and the fines for a liquor license violation start at $50. $50 really doesn't have a lot of bite behind it. The goal with this ordinance is to solidify the fines, maximum fines. This doesn't mandate that the fines have to be that, but for first offense in a year, $1,000, up to $1,000. Second offense, up to $1,500, and a third offense would be they could have revocation of their license. At any point along the way, the liquor commissioner, just as he can do now, on a first offense, if it's a serious enough offense, he has the authority, after a hearing, to suspend the license for up to 30 days. That could happen if we have a business that sells to a minor and the minor gets into a crash heading down Irving Park Road, and we investigate it and bring that before them. Right now, their license could be suspended or revoked. So this doesn't lock in things, but it certainly gives a little more teeth than our current ordinance. That just kind of solidifies that. I had one other thought about this one, but anyways, this is the intent of this also. That was the other part, is to follow up with the mayor as liquor commissioner and myself as the police department, is conveying a message to all the owners and talking to them and saying, you know, these violations will be dealt with severely, not taken lightly. But the goal of this one is absolutely no more revenue for the city. We don't want any violations. This is, the goal is not a revenue generation from this. Hopefully we have no violations, but as we saw from our last round of buys, unfortunately the results weren't as good as we wanted. So that's the summary of this ordinance.
Do I have a motion before I ask for questions?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Questions? Alderman Eugene Wesley?
So more or less, this ordinance is going in place. Let me make sure I get this right. So now instead of a $50 fine, you could go up to $1,000 fine?
Chief?
That's correct. Right now, it could go up to 1,000. It starts at 50 and could be up to 1,000. But having the $50 amount in your ordinance from 27 years ago, it just does not send the message that, that putting a
Okay.
maximum in there is probably more effective. There's still leeway. The first offense could be $100,
But-
could be $50, but this also allows for, if they're having multiple violations in a year, up to the maximum allowed by state law, that we can't go beyond these limits. It allows for the liquor commissioner on the second offense could say, well, we want to go up to a higher fine than the $1,000 that's currently in our ordinance.
But my
Go ahead.
question here is, that's just dandy, but what is going to happen to, what is our fines now with a second violation that we had in their last operation? And what were their fines, or what will their fines be? Do we structure that, or I know it's up to the mayor, the liquor commissioner, to make those determinations. Is that going to offset this, or is this, I'm just, we got cases out there now that still haven't been heard yet, I don't think. So I'd like to know how this came about, that we didn't visit this before we did our operation, and all of a sudden now it's on a dais sitting here now after we did the violation. After we did I just want to.
Chief.
It's my understanding that these would be prosecuted under the old fine structure, but for those violations, it could be up to a $1,000 fine or up to a 30-day suspension. So there's still, the reason this was not brought up before is this was in process for several months, a couple months, I should say. And we kind of time our compliance checks, not at the exact same time every year, but leading into the holiday season. So the timing it happens that we were able to finalize this fine structure that we were looking for. It happened to be after our last compliance checks. No reason for it other than that's just the timing of how it came out.
So we were planning on this a long time ago, we just didn't operate it, or do the fine structure.
Actually, I brought this up to the chief. We've had some discussions, and that's been the last few months, right?
And I guess I would say that since video gaming has been approved and finalized, this has been an evolving process, and part of the reason we're able to pull some of these things in is through networking with other agencies, seeing what they're doing and what's working for them, and that's where we were kind of able to pull in some of this stuff from state law. So, yeah, it's similar to adjusting the fine structure. It just, there's a process as it happens, and this one happened. There will be more compliance checks this year. We do them on a regular basis. The new ones would fall under this ordinance.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Lazara.
Yes.
Alderman Winger.
Yes.
Alderman Eugene Wesley.
Yeah, I don't have a choice, yeah.
Alderman Coles.
Yes,
Alderman Roy Wesley.
Yes.
That passes. Next, report and recommendation, vehicle replacement. Item number 6.
Yeah, so what we're looking to do is replace one of the administrative vehicles that's currently a 2005 Ford Taurus with a 2013 Ford Taurus. This is a competitive bid that's already been done through Northwest Municipal Conference, the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative. Total request is for $21,617 to Breedman Ford for a 2013 Ford Taurus.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions? Alderman Eugene Wesley.
Is this a budget item?
Chief?
Yes, sir.
My question is, why didn't we buy this when we did all the other squad cars purchase that we approved by May 1st earlier?
Two parts to this. Number one is we wanted to hold off until later in the year to get some more use out of the current cars that we have. Similar to our CSO trucks, we kind of held off towards the end of the year. Second thing was this is purchased through a different vendor. So it's not, the other one was under a competitive bid process, so is this, but it wasn't like there was any advantage to us by ordering it together with the other squad cars.
So this is not a state purchase.
Go ahead, Chief.
No, this is the Northwest Municipal Conference.
Okay,
There's,
thank you.
it is a competitive bid process, and the prices are very attractive, so.
Alderman Roy Wesley.
Greg, when we do the police vehicles, we might order one or two. Itasca might order one, a squad car, and Itasca or Wooddale is the same, correct? Pretty much?
Correct,
Chief?
correct.
So, is it worth it to talk to these other towns and put them all together and get a better price,
Chief?
besides a state purchase?
No. There's a state purchase that the state approves one type of police squad car a year. So let's say that's the Chevy Impala. This Northwest Municipal Conference goes out and does bidding for other types of vehicles. And so what it is this is a collection of other agencies that are going out for competitive bid. There's not going to be any other additional pricing we're going to get off by combining with 15 other towns, because I would say a vast majority of towns in the suburbs use this already, so
Okay.
we are getting very competitive pricing.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're utilizing everything, so.
Yeah, it's just the state bid is limited to one car, one make and model. You don't have 13 different options, so that's why this is done this way.
Anything further?
No, I got a compliment here for the fight, for the police chief, though.
Go ahead.
Oh, I received an email about our police department of how they handle calls. It wasn't just one officer. It was many about the force, about how pleased they were, and how our police officers were, and our CSOs, and again, it was more than just one officer. So I want to commend you on your staff, on how your staff is doing, and I want to commend you on how you. There's letters like this that tells us that you're doing your job. So I appreciate that.
Chief?
Thanks, I appreciate that. And just some background, I've just been lucky enough to have a number of positive comments over the last month or so regarding some things we've had going on, and apparently you're referring to my email that I sent out to the department today. They're doing some good things, and we had an incident that happened at a house that someone posted on our Facebook page that we didn't promote, but they posted it. And as of tonight, there was 1,600 likes from all over the country. It was just kind of a neat story, and perhaps tomorrow I'll put that in the council packet so you're all aware of that. But
Good.
Our people are doing good stuff. I'm proud of them. I'm proud to work with them, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Could you continue to do that? Putting it in the packet, so without the names?
Sure.
I don't know if it would, this way, it makes our job easier and saying that our police department, I sure don't want to go like to another department like what they have over there, so.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Items to be considered future meetings. Do we have anything? Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Keep going. Call Public Works Committee order, minute taker note, the same people are present. Any motion to approve the minutes for January 24th, 2013. That is my motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns, changes? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, report of recommendation pay request, partial 8 to Maximo Construction Corporation a wastewater treatment plant upgrade phase 1 project not to exceed $574,446.00. That is my motion. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Questions, concerns? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Report of recommendation, pay request, final payment. ALAM Concrete Corporation for the Addison Water Main Replacement Phase 2, not to exceed $28,879.63. That is my motion.
Second.
One question, punch list completed on that? Punch list is completed. So I have a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item number 6, report on recommendation, contract amendment number 1, HR Green, not to exceed amount of $249,459.00 for a Phase 2 engineer service of Irving Park Road and road intersection safety improvement. I believe that is coming out of the grant money to be paid for the safety loop, and this is for land acquisition. Am I correct, Jeff?
It's coming out of the grant, and it is for, there's some land appraisal in there. Mr. Hogan from HR Green's here if you want to have him kind of comment what's in there real quick,
Oh, sure.
just so everybody's clear.
He looks so good dressed up in Blackhawks stuff, yes.
I apologize for the hockey attire,
That's
but
fine.
yeah, the amendment is for, as far as the items in here are for topographic survey, intersection study updates per the ICC requirements, utility coordination with ComEd, right-of-way appraisals and negotiations, railroad improvements that were originally going to be done under Metra's consultant as during the Phase 1 going into Phase 2. We recently met with Metra a couple weeks ago, and in order to keep the project on schedule, Metra has allowed for those improvements to be added to our contract. PB, we're hiring PB, who's an approved Metra consultant to do the work as far as the rail signal improvements and gate improvements, along with the track crossing improvements. In addition to that, as part of that is Metra coordination as part of this amendment number 1. If there's any questions regarding any of these items, I can
Any
address
questions?
them.
Concerns? Okay, so I do have a motion, I do have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed. Item number 7, report of recommendation, pay request partial 1, independent machine industrial for the booster pump 4 and 5 project not to exceed $8,460. That is my motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report and recommendation, item number 8, report and recommendation, pay request, final pay, final for MQ Sewer and Water Contract Incorporation for 2013 water main replacement not to exceed $150,382.36. That is my motion.
Second.
I have a second. Questions, concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Report and recommendation, sought storage consideration. Okay. I did half your meeting for you. You take it over. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This evening, just briefly, I thought it was important to have a informal conversation about where we stand with our salt purchase and our salt storage. What you won't find in your packet tonight is an update, and because at the time I produced this, I didn't have real-time information. I got it for you tonight. We still, yet to date, have to take 829.21 tons. At the contract price, that's at $52.24. That's a $43,000 $43,318 commitment that we still have to purchase the salt. Now, it's important to keep that number in mind, so as we talk about options this evening, you can just recall that number. We have $43,318 commitment to purchase salt. That said, maybe to further introduce this topic, the city of Wooddale is not unlike many other communities in the Chicagoland area. Everyone plans for winter. And as we all know, winter has not arrived as we may have otherwise expected it to arrive. So everyone's in the municipal world has the same dilemma that we do. As this memo indicates, we have a commitment once we purchase salt to take 80% minimum of what we order. Now that's the same requirement whether you buy it from the state bid, whether you go directly to Morton like we did, or whoever provides salt for communities. That's typical. That's not something unusual to the city of Wooddale or any other community. The dilemma we have today is we really have to figure out what we're going to do with that 829 tons of salt that we still yet have to take, we're contractually bound to take. So what this memo will share with you is some of the options that staff has begun to think about. And again, that's the purpose of the conversation tonight, is to give you an opportunity to provide some feedback and some guidance to staff on what steps we may want to take next. So to dig into what's in front of you here, really there's certainly more options to discuss if you want to bring them to light tonight, but there are 4 primary options that I think, again, we feel that we should continue to explore. The first option being we purchase salt from Morton Salt, that's the vendor. There is an option that we can continue to pursue, and we've tried to do that this week, we just haven't been successful in getting an answer yet, is they will offer storage to us. But they'll offer storage to us at a considerable fee. And so that option exists. We'll certainly pursue that as part of a final recommendation to you. But again, we believe that that might come with a considerable price tag and may not be favorable. But from what we can gather right now today, it is an option. And again, until we can gather more facts, it's one I just want to make sure that you're aware of. The second option that staff has looked at thus far is we purchased a property on commercial, and that property has a fenced-in yard and a small industrial building associated with it. The unfortunate part is that much of the fenced-in yard, where we could provide for temporary storage in that facility, is in an area that may not be suitable for receiving salt because of its proximity to the adjacent watershed. But again, part of that property is not, or does not have that dilemma, so we could consider options to store some of our salt there. But again, it's not enough to get to that 829 ton number that we're faced with today. Third option is to seek some assistance or cooperation with some of the other adjacent communities. We've talked to Itasca, we've talked to the township, and we've talked to other adjacent communities as well. They're in the same boat as we are. They're looking for a place to store their own salt. So we haven't had much success in that regard thus far. But again, I felt it prudent to just mention that we have done some due diligence there, and we'll continue to do that as these options kind of unfold. The fourth option is to seek a new parcel. I understand that in the past, this community has considered a number of different locations for the potential for building a salt dome on a more permanent basis. That's certainly something that we can advance here again. We could revisit existing city properties. We can revisit a parcel that we currently don't own. And a number of those options or a number of those properties have been explored. I'm here tonight to share with you that there are 3 properties that fall into that regard that the city has, staff has looked at, and we would continue to do that if the guidance here tonight is, why don't we look at property and give me the options on those properties that we could advance. So in a nutshell tonight, those are the 4 options that your staff has been considering. And each one of these has some merits and has some,